5 years, the off-road wheel has been eating up everything in its path, rolling over gravestones and the bones of the weak. Wheels have gotten bigger and better, burying smaller wheels. The black and green wrecking machine is here. It is going to take no prisoners on its way to... Oh no! What's going on here? Bit dramatic, isn't it? Tunicles. Oh. As you can see, I have the future of mountain bike technology here. The 36-inch wheel bike, and this one, well, I've called it Grave Digger because it's going to bury the competition. Okay, so dramatic introduction aside, today we're going to be talking about wheel sizes on mountain bikes because let's face it, they've gone up and down all over the place over the years. So yeah, we started with 26-inch wheels on mountain bikes, but it wasn't necessarily a decided thing that was the best size. It was because tyres and rim sizes were readily available, and those early pioneers that were crafting bikes from lost and found bits and pieces, kind of like the hot rod movement, that's what they used, basically. There was no insinuation that it was the best, which is why, in the background, whilst those bikes were forming the basis for the modern mountain bike, designers like Gary Fisher and everyone else behind the scenes were experimenting with other wheel sizes, like 29-inch. But let's not forget that Ibis, way back in the day, did bikes with 20 and 24-inch wheels. Cannondale did 24 and 26-inch. Specialized later did that in the early 2000s with their big hit bike. Also in the background, there was the 650B, which we later referred to as 27.5, which actually elbowed out the humble 26-inch wheel. So these days, we mostly have 29s, like you see on my bike here, and 27.5s, and sometimes a mixture of the two, usually with the smaller wheel on the back and a bigger wheel on the front. As you can see, this mountain bike, a size extra large, it's in my size, I'm 6'3". It's got 29-inch wheels and they look appropriate for the bike. If you'd have seen me on an equivalent bike when I rode 26-inch wheel bikes, it just looked wrong. This is purpose built for off-road use, and actually, by all accounts, really is the ultimate wheel size. Or is it? We always thought the 29 was ridiculous when it first came out.
For me personally, I think it's the worst thing I've seen happen to mountain biking since I've ever been involved in it.
In my opinion, the XC boys should have the 29s. Yeah. Give them that. We'll have the 27s.
Yeah.
And the slopestyle guys can have 26.
It's definitely a controversial subject, and I get the feeling in this tent it's not something that I should be bringing up.
But there's another wheel size, the monster-sized 36-inch wheel. Now, I first saw these at CLC Europe on a brand called True Bike, but there's various other brands out there like Curve, and I think Trek have even experimented with them over the years. Let's have a look at this monster-sized 36-inch wheel bike. Oh dear, look at this thing. It's not often I stand next to a bike and I feel small. Honestly, like 6'3", look at the height of this thing, it's absolutely massive. So 36-inch wheels, front and rear. The Nimbus wheels on here, which actually associated with the unicycle world. The tyres are as well, they're called Night Riders. And it's kind of, well, I'm just going to refer to this as Grave Digger because, let's face it, it kind of looks a little bit like the black and green wrecking machine that we all love from the monster truck world. And I suspect it's probably going to ride over things kind of like a monster truck does. So this bike is a complete custom. It's made by Ted James Design. It's a titanium frame. It's a complete one-off. And it was made for probably the nicest as well as the tallest cyclist that I know, Connor Dunn from GCN. He's a man who's so tall he has to fold himself through any doorway, a little bit like the alien when it's chasing Sigourney Weaver, in fact. Strange looking creature, I tell you. But anyhow, he's been fed up with riding 700C or 29-inch wheel bikes forever because they look ridiculous on him. So he had this bike built custom for him. Now, as you can see, it's absolutely colossal. It's running on a Shimano gravel group set with Di2 on there. I've removed the drop bars and I've put some flat bars on here, some nuke-proof bars, and I've put some regular Shimano XT brake levers on there, bled the brakes through, and put some flat pedals on it, essentially. And I've lowered the saddle about a foot as well because he really is a giant. And I've been thinking that, well, if people are making 36-inch wheels for off-road use, then I reckon it's got legs. This actually legitimately could be the next wheel size. Do you want to take the bike? So I'm just going to get the other one. Looks like something out of a circus with you picking that thing up. I can hear the Benny Hill theme in the background, you know. Look at the state of it, it's absolutely massive. Do you feel like you're riding your dad's bike? Although in today's video we're focusing on the future of mountain biking, I just want to reference a few differences between them here. Now this bike is a size extra large, running on 29-inch wheels, 1x12 system on here. So I've got a 34 tooth chainring on the front, and I've got the lowest gear on the back as a 51. So that's a massive gear, supreme for climbing stuff. And the big wheels do roll over stuff, but they're not going to be a patch on what I can do on this. Gearing though could be a bit of a problem. Connor's a roadie, so he's got a 36 on the front and he's got quite a small block on the back. The lowest gear available to me is a 42. Now that's going to be a bit of an issue here, not necessarily because of what I can turn over, but the sheer size of those wheels, and they are heavy on this particular bike. I've since learnt that you can get super lightweight carbon rims, and I think Connor is going to be building a set of those over on GCN for this. But for this video, we've got the really quite heavy wheels. So it's going to accelerate quite slow, but it's going to be a monster truck when we get it up to speed. I'm not planning on slowing down in a hurry, which is just as well because it's got tiny little roadie sized discs on there, but it's not really going to be an issue. This bike with the titanium frame, the massive wheels, that's all the tech you need. You don't need anything else. Like, I'm going to prove that suspension is irrelevant just by riding this bike. Okay, so the wheels are absolutely massive, so they're going to weigh a bit more, but what they're going to gain in momentum, I'm sure of it, they're going to be absolutely fine. So let's just see what they are. No, just over 4 kilos. So what's that? Just over 9 pounds. That's not too bad really, considering the size of the wheels. I mean, they're massive. Don't forget, the 36 over a 29. It's going to be worthwhile, I'm sure of it. Oh my God, you won't believe this. 9 pounds 1 ounce. That's 4.9 kilograms per wheel. That's just disgusting. That's absolute, isn't it? I cannot imagine that this is going to ride well. I tell you, so much heavier than the 29s. My God. Okay, so what I'm already noticing is you can literally straight line it across routes at any angle, it just doesn't matter. You can get the power down kind of like you would on a full suspension bike. Like, it does take a bit of getting used to because I've just hit my foot off the pedal a couple of times with a toe overlap. If I can have a lower gear, I think this would improve things. At the moment, I'm basically in the lowest gear, so I'm just going to blame that for the handling, because other than that, it's all right. It's not too bad. A little bit slow because the wheels are a little bit heavy, but not too bad. Let's point it down over some routes and let's get it up to speed a bit, because I reckon the inertia you're going to get with those wheels, that's where it's going to come in. And in comes Grave Digger for another descent. Whoa! Woo! Okay, black and green wrecking machine, well, black, silver and green wrecking machine. Yeah, so far so good. Enjoying it. Just been riding sort of some choppy, rooty surface to really sort of test the rigid frame and fork with the compensation of those big wheels. They definitely roll over stuff, like, it's no surprise, but they roll over stuff a lot better than I thought they would have done. Tyres could be a little bit better. There is a shoulder, but I mean, to be fair, they're basically road bike tyres. The thing that's interesting though is the flex in that fork. It's a titanium fork, so it's got an element of flex to it. Managing to buzz a few times just on the hose on the down tube there. It's not too bad though, to be fair. Quite enjoying it. You buttoned off. Dude, it's absolutely terrifying. I'm totally regretting riding this off-road. It's a nice road bike, but this is not the one for the woods. I feel like there's nothing this bike can't do. I tell you what, that low BB feels so secure. It's mental. Whoa. That's a new experience. It pulls you into the turn. So you've got quite a steep head angle associated with road bikes, admittedly. This is a road bike. And then you've got the really heavy wheels that have got so much inertia, so you do get stability return, but I can't quite figure out what's going on, if I'm honest. I kind of like it, but it's not that confidence inspiring. Absolutely loving it, it's amazing. Takes a while to stop on this thing, I'll tell you that.
How is it down the bike?
All right. I can feel the way that people are looking at it around here, but I actually really enjoyed riding it. Really good fun. But I can't tell if that's just because that's who I am. Like, I like riding obscure stuff and always have fun on bikes.
So you'd buy one then?
No, don't be daft. It's repulsive, isn't it? Do you know what? Overall handling is actually really good. I mean, it's testament to the frame builder of the bike. Obviously, he's extremely talented. And to make a bike that handles well with wheels that weigh this much is pretty impressive. But it still manages to be quite agile, which I really didn't think it was going to be. Easy to track stand, pretty easy to wheelie, mess around on in the car park. Kind of what any mountain biker wants to do, really. Yeah, like so far, it's doing most things pretty well. I reckon we need to head somewhere a little bit steeper now for a play. Isn't this how all the freeride edits start? I'm not going to go like super fast. You literally can't stop on this, so like in that much of a hurry anyway. Ah, just what the monster truck is made for. Okay, so manoeuvrability is not the 36-inch wheel bike's strong point, shall we say. Loves going in a straight line, really good at that. As soon as you've got to move, nah. Fun though. Now, this thing is a mission to get up stuff with. I started braking where you were. So you're probably wondering how today went. Well, I'm still smiling. It's a pretty bonkers bike, to be fair, to ride. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting to have found like the world's best new bike you've never heard of. Just a bit of fun. And yeah, I've had great fun all day. A few observations though, right? So obviously with these heavy wheels, it did accelerate quite slowly, slow to brake, and also cornering was really interesting. As you'd imagine, trying to turn a bike in with bigger wheels like 29s can be difficult until you're used to it. With these wheels, it was another level. Now it's accentuated by the fact that they actually weigh a lot. Now Connor did tell me that there are some carbon rims and lighter tyres coming for a new set of wheels for this bike, so I would be keen on trying it again. But there's definitely a few interesting phenomenons that happen on this bike. One of which I noticed just coming down the bank behind you there. As soon as you're bombing along quick, it's arrow straight. It feels like even on rough terrain, you could just take your hands off the bars and just go in a perfectly straight line. To the point, if you wanted to turn, actually makes it difficult to turn. Combination of things there, the inertia, the sheer volume and size of those wheels, but also your incredibly low bottom bracket point, which means it's just harder to tip it over. But as I found riding the berms, once you were turning, it wanted to stay carving. It doesn't want to come out of them. So, you know, there's a bunch of quirky things. Riding on the rough stuff though, now that was interesting. You could pedal it over wet routes and things like you would a suspension bike. Now, yeah, to a degree you could argue you could do it on 29s, but not to the same magnitude as that. Now, don't get me wrong, this one it's basically a road bike, and I've put some, you know, mountain bike handlebars and controls on it, so the geometry is different. And of course there was that flex in the fork that was bothering me, but hey, it's a beautiful looking frame, really, oh, it's just gorgeous the way it's been put together. And I do think for today's video it's definitely worthy of having the old Gravedigger stickers on there, because this thing monster trucked over anything and was wicked fun to ride. Is it for me though? Nah, of course not. Back to the graveyard for this one, I reckon. I don't know why I come up with these ideas. I totally thought that this was just going to be the one, you know. Well, I think this is the end of the road for you, mate. Ooh. Gravedigger.